Because like right now, what's happening is you're kind of multitasking. Where like you're first thinking like, okay, like I have this problem, now I need to go and solve this problem by like actuating with my hands on the keyboard and mouse and like solving the problem for myself using the computer as a tool.
Yep.
But what will happen is like you'll think of the, okay, like I have this problem, you give it to the computer. I have this problem, I don't even need to know what the solution is. You just go figure it out. The computer goes and does it, and just like okay, I've finished this task for you, and then kind of becomes like an assistant. Then you just like give it the delegate what your problem is, and then things are happening, but you're kind of more freed up because you just don't have to think about like actually doing it yourself.
Welcome, AI Tinkerers, to another edition of One Shot. This is your global stage where we bring the best and brightest from our network to present the things they've been building and to open the hood and explain them in a way that you can incorporate that into your own projects as well. And today we're a real innovator and leader, one of the first people that I ever knew anywhere who was all in on agents. This was, gosh, at least 2 years ago at this point, well before ChatGPT moment. This was off the deep end, long before it became a meme. And so I'm just excited because it's a really hard problem. He's been working on it for a very long time, and it's Garg from MultiOn.
Hi, I'm very excited to be here, and thanks, Joe, for inviting me.
We were at the Palo Alto Tinkers meetup a few months ago, and Munjal Shah, who's building a very well-funded, incredibly ambitious company in the medical space, he said something that really stuck with me. A lot of people were talking about like building co-pilot systems, you know? And he said, why would I build a co-pilot system for nursing that would make nurses 40% more effective when I could build an autonomous nurse and create 10 million nurses? What is the dream of agents for you? What is inspiring for you about it, about the field?
For me, like I'm very interested in like personal assistant. So a very good example is something like Jarvis from Iron Man. So if anyone who has watched the movie, it's kind of like a personal AI buddy that you can talk to. It's connected to all the services. You can interact with it. It's basically like in the movie, like building the Iron Man suit for Tony Stark. It's basically doing all of his job, right? And it's the kind of the world I imagine like maybe 5 years from now, where like you have an AI agent that's operating all your devices. It's doing all your digital work. It's handling your coordination, emailing, so many things you have to do in your daily life, right? And then you're free to focus on what you really care about. So whatever like naturally gets you excited, whether like it's like AI research or maybe it's like working on like art or creativity or like doing whatever you really care about, you can just be free to focus on that.
Take me back to like the where it began. Like when did you, was that where your core research was and it grew out of that, or a side project, or both, or how did it come about?
Yeah, I would say MultiOn initially was a side project. So I started this like working on it on like evenings and weekends and spending a lot of time tinkering with what can you do with web agents. A lot of my research was related to like reinforcement learning and like AI agents for different things. So I worked in the past a lot for in self-driving cars, where I worked in like Apple, Uber, ATG, bunch of other places. A lot of my research at Stanford was on like Minecraft agents. So can you have an AI that can go play Minecraft, build houses, explore caves, so on. I was also working on like, can you control robotic arms using language? So can you do like really cool stuff with like physical robots and like a bunch of this like video games? And it just seemed like having like a browser as an abstraction, where like, okay, if you have an agent that can go control a browser and do useful things for you, that could be just like game changing.
I think of using an LLM in the pre-agent world as like a work creator. They can give you advice, they can tell you what to do, but they're not getting work done. And sort of by allowing that bridge to control the browser, in theory, you could almost get anything done that you could get online.
I think so. Yes.
Okay. So that's powerful. Can you show us the simplest example as a developer, how you would use it? And ultimately I want to get to is like, how can I add these browser agent like capabilities to my product, right?
So the first thing to do here is like, you can go to our website, like multion.ai, and then you can like check out our sections. So we have our API that you can check out. You can go to our docs. You can see like how everything works. The quick start is a good way where you can just create an API key, install our packages, whether it's like TypeScript or Python, and you're pretty much good to go. Good way to play with the agent is through our Chrome extension. So if you go to our Chrome extension link, download it. I already have it installed in this case.
Are you phoning home to then kind of tell your Chrome thing what to do? So you've got some kind of thing running.
Yes.
Okay.
So the model is still running in the cloud. In the future, we'll have it locally.
Okay. And then for me, the API is the same no matter what. I just deploy it separately to my browser.
Yes.
Okay. And okay. So the easy way to get started to use the Chrome plugin agent, so I can do stuff
locally, and then you can see what's happening. Yeah.
Okay.
And once you have the Chrome extension installed, So in this case, like you can open this small pop-up window. You can like configure it if you want to, and you can go to our like homepage and ask it to do things for you. So I can give an example where, like, suppose I ask it to go and wish happy birthday to my friends on Facebook. So this is a very simple example where I can just give it the command, and then I can go see the agent in action. So in this case, the agent has taken control of my browser, and it's now going and doing these things for me. So it clicked on like the birthdays section to find like people who have a birthday today.
Great.
And then it's going and like sending the birthday messages.
And this is like, to me, this looks like a product and not even an API, but I think the key point is to use your API, you're actually interacting with it in English, like in regular language.
Yes.
Okay.
So a good way to think about this is like when you're using like something like a ChatGPT API. So what you're doing is like you're giving a natural language command and it's giving a natural language output out. In this case, you give us a natural language input, like, okay, like go do this thing for me, and then we'll directly give you the actions back.
Okay. But it just has this actions pack or this engine that you have called MultiOn that uses that simple interface. It's like ChatGPT API interface. The difference is it's going to be able to go out, do things to command my browser to use the mouse and keyboard the way a human would, and
more
understand.
Yes.
Okay, and reason about
about things, how they work.
Got it. So, all right, before we get into like more advanced things that we could do with your product, and like, just why don't you give me the overview? Like, what are the components? You mentioned already a sort of browser component. There's clearly something in the cloud, and there's an API. What else is in the system that I would see or use as a developer? And then under the hood, like, what are the things?
Sure. So as a developer, you just need to download our SDKs. So you can download our Python SDK or our TypeScript SDK, and you do like something like pip install multion and say like something like multion dot browse and give it a command like, okay, like go to Twitter and make a post from me saying hello world, and that will activate the agent. And then there's two ways to use the agent. Whereas like by default it can open a headless browser that's running in our cloud, and then the agent will go. It can also ask you for logins, like, okay, like can you authorize me to go to your Twitter account and like post on your behalf, and once you authorize it, then it can actually go and make the post. It can like it can send you a screenshot along with like, okay, like what are the actions it's taking, and then you can like check that out. You can also intervene in the loop. So if you want to build a programmatic workflow where you want to like, okay, like I want to trace every action that the agent is doing and verify them, and only then allow the agent to go do that, you can totally do this. A second option we allow is you can run the agent locally using a browser extension. And in that case, like everything's local, everything's visual, so you can see like real time what's happening, and you're not bottlenecked by, okay, like what might be happening if it's in the cloud, because it's more invisible.
And I think of that as pretty interesting because there's this kind of like idea that like, if I could program the browser using the reasoning ability of the LLM, I could get a lot of useful work done and minutia and kind of automate a lot of things. There's a lot of business in that. On the other side, like, it's a very challenging space, despite the fact that like all websites are engineered for ease of use. There's just so many real problems with trying to automate with the web with an LLM. I think many people have tinkered and tried that. I've tried that. You run in very quickly to context limits with JavaScript and browsers, and then the vision models are newer. You try those approaches, and there's problems, right? But in your view, having been in the space for quite a while now, like, do you have a way that you break down what those problems are, and which that you've solved, and which are sort of on the forefront still?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a very complicated puzzle. There's like a lot of different pieces that you have to solve for. The first one is just understanding the website. So, like if the agent is running on a website like LinkedIn, can we understand all the different elements, all the different text content, what exactly is happening? And then that itself can be a complex problem, because like there's like so many different websites. There's like tens or millions of websites, and if the agent is not able to work on one website, it's very hard to guarantee what will happen. So we have to like continuously refine and iterate and like keep improving the system. And that's kind of like the visual understanding part, where we want to understand like, okay, what's happening on the website. The second part is, now once we understand the website, okay, can we actually go and do intelligent decision making? So can we take actions on this website? And that involves like, okay, like can we click, can we type, can we scroll, can we do a lot of like this kind of a manipulation that a human will do. And then we need to predict like, okay, like what are the right actions to take. So if I want to make a post on LinkedIn, the agent should know like, okay, like I should click on the post button, and once it has clicked on the post button, then I should like type the content that the user has asked me to. Then I should like, okay, like actually post it. And maybe you might want to have the user in the loop, so you might want to confirm with the user like, okay, like are you sure you want me to post this? Does this look right to you? And that kind of puzzle becomes more harder because like there's a lot of things that can potentially go wrong, because if the agent makes one mistake, then like it's possible it might go off the rails and might just go to something random for you which you didn't want. And so you have to be able to trust the agent, and like we have to guarantee that the agent is going to go and do the right thing, and it has some kind of guardrails that you have to build
Yeah.
to make sure like, okay, like it accidentally doesn't go something that can be like very negative for you.
Okay, so getting off the rails and then it compounds over time and gets worse. And how do you bring it
Totally.
back? And there's a set of problems. I imagine there's a set of problems just with like understanding the plan of what to do. But having used like Claude or ChatGPT for just help on products that I'm not familiar with, it does a pretty good job of that. Although it's often wrong about which exact menu to click or button. It sort of gets the right logical places to go look.
Right.
And I think in combination with some reasonable reasoning and some of that planning. But it seems the harder part to me would be like, how do you even understand what to click? You're looking at the HTML, which is sometimes way longer than the context that you can process.
Totally.
And it can be manipulated by the JavaScript, right? Hiding elements or moving or inventing elements on the fly. I mean, websites are complex these days. So how do you use vision models? And I can't imagine those were even really available when you started. So tell me about how that's evolved.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. Like I would say, right now we're using multimodal models which are like vision based. Initially, we started very simple, where we wrote some crawlers for different websites, and then we had heuristics to like how do we process the websites, how do we compress it. We actually wrote a really great compression engine where we could compress websites by 100x.
Wow.
And we were able to get websites as less as like 10,000 tokens or even less than that, and then call that through like different APIs. I think that was okay. It was like a hacky solution. We were able to get like some like good proof of concept out. But now we have like refined it a lot, where we have our own visual language models, and then we have our own fine-tuned DSLs on like how to process this data, pass it through like our fine-tuned models on this specific data sources we have built, and then like make sure that we are doing the right, like the agent is doing the right thing, it's not misbehaving.
When you're approaching that process of fine tuning and gathering data to try to refine, better quality results, and do you narrow your domain to certain kinds of tasks and certain kinds of websites?
It depends. Like I would say, like our approach is very general. This can work on any website. We have started with I would say like the major websites where like we see a lot of traffic. It's easy to collect data. But our approach is made in such a way that can be generalized to like any particular website.
Okay, interesting. What are some of the practical use cases today where your solution is delivering like results to people?
Yeah, it's like a lot of interesting ones. Like people have been using it a lot for price analysis, like checking if something is in stock or not.
Interesting. Okay.
Even like finding real-time news and like building chatbots that can like process this kind of news, or
essentially data extraction for relevant things that aren't APIs, and
basically
the data is distributed maybe across a lot of sources.
And then you've seen like a lot of stuff around, like if you want to scrape product catalogs, or you want to like even do like cold outreach. Like suppose you want to go to like Airbnb listings and like reach out to like folks. Craigslist is a good example where like Craigslist has a really bad interface, but you can use our agent to go navigate it, find for items that you like.
Okay. You mentioned LinkedIn a couple of times.
Right.
I am familiar with LinkedIn and trying to get data from that. And they have military grade anti-scraping tech in play. How do you get over that problem, or do you?
I think we this is something that I can't say too much about, unfortunately, but we have built a lot of like in-house solutions.
Okay. So if I'm running your thing in the cloud, you're actually utilizing that to help me get past some of those safeguards, not just the human navigation element, but a lot of the bot stuff.
Yes.
Well. Okay.
So that's one thing that we have had to spend a lot of time thinking about, like how do we bypass a lot of this bot layers.
If I was running your Chrome agent and controlling you from there, I wouldn't have that problem because it thinks it's me, right?
Or yes.
It's more
so
natural.
It's much better. I think like some websites can still detect it, but it's still we have a much easier time if it's running locally.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I would imagine that running locally is another realm that opens up, is just like when the agent, like I want agents because they get work done for me, but to get useful work done, you have to kind of be me. The more of my context you have, and then authorization, right? So running your agent locally on my desktop, am I literally running my Chrome that's already signed into Netflix and all these things? Like, could it go today? Like, could I use your product right now and have it do something on Spotify and add a song to my playlist or something, and it's already authorized? Or are you running like a local instance of Chrome in the box, in a sandbox? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So I think this is something that depends. Like I would say, it depends where you install it. So like right now it's a Chrome extension. So if you install it in your default profile,
Yeah.
then it can actually get access to your accounts, which can be a plus.
Okay.
Because if you don't want it to like, you don't want, if you just want to streamline your
It can be
flows and
plus
just
or dangerous.
right, yeah. So it's just like there's like pros and cons. So it's just like
Sure.
okay, like I just wanted to like have access to all my accounts and just
Sure.
play with it.
Sure.
Then you can like install it in your default
Yeah.
profile. What you can do alternatively is like you can create a new profile and which
Right.
is like sandboxed,
Yeah.
and then install the browser extension in that sandbox.
Okay.
And then you can be like, okay, like now maybe do I wanted to give it access to my Amazon? And if you say like okay, I want to do that, then you can actually go
Yep.
and assign it to Amazon, and then the agent can go and like take actions on your
Okay.
behalf.
If I was building a desktop app, like a Mac desktop app, can I embed your Chrome client within my OSS app that I'm building to have agent-like features inside my app locally?
Yeah, that's a good
I hope
question.
I'm
And I would say
stumping
not
you.
yet. Also, what you can do is
Not,
like if you can install a Chrome extension within the app, that's one
then
solution.
that's the predicate. So if
Right.
that's possible in an OSX app, then in theory you can
Then
do
yeah,
it.
in theory, you can.
Yeah,
Yes.
interesting. Okay, cool. And certainly I could use your stuff from the cloud or somehow, right? I could get the benefits somehow that way.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this auth thing a little bit more. So
Sure.
I'm running locally because I want it to be me and have the abilities, and that's awesome. Dangerous but powerful.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to do that, but actually use the cloud version, and the thing I'm thinking about is by proxy. Like, okay, so ideally my app would be that button first says, oh, I haven't authed with MultiOn in the cloud yet with LinkedIn and your LinkedIn. And it would somehow do the LinkedIn auth process with that end user, store that maybe if I can, I don't know if the security rules allow, so that I could reuse it from then on to post to their LinkedIn through MultiOn.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
scenario doable?
It's doable. I think we've been doing that actually with one of our clients where we can have a connect with MultiOn button. So you can have like an action button kind of thing. And then when you
Awesome.
press the button, it activates our agent to go do things for you.
Okay. I want to build this. So
Sure.
we won't do this on camera. Let's build it. This sounds like a great project. This would be a lot of fun. And that'd be awesome. Okay, so that's pretty powerful. Talk to me about others that are using MultiOn within their products. I'm really excited about the possibility there.
Yeah, well, see, we've seen a lot of use cases. A good one is like we have someone who's building like a AI nutritionist.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it can like learn your diet, recommend you like okay, like what things you should eat,
Yeah.
but then can also order the right ingredients and the right food for you.
Oh, cool.
And then they're using the MultiOn agent to like connect to Instacart and find the right like ingredients and groceries that you want, and then like automatically buy it for you. So that's a fun one.
So they can wrap like all of those abilities in a much simpler way that's purpose built for their app without having to shove their user off to something and it's a bad experience, right?
Yeah. So you can personalize and like you can have more vertical experiences.
Sure. How does MultiOn compare to the other kind of agent frameworks out there? Like, draw me the landscape of like how that fits in as a developer. What level are you playing? Different levels of abstraction? Are you direct competitors? How does it work?
Sure. I would say it's pretty collaborative. So like how all this frameworks like LangChain and QI workers, they're like very general LM frameworks. They're like more like they're trying to be like okay, like a middleware where like okay, I want to like connect with different APIs, different vector databases, different agents. I can like use this middleware and I'm good to go. With MultiOn, I think what we are offering is more like browser automation as a capability.
Yeah.
So if you install like the MultiOn agent, then it can go and take actions on the web. And that's very, very unique. Like no one else is doing it. We actually have integration with QAI, LangChain, Llama Index, like you name it.
Yep.
And then you can basically like like suppose I'm using LangChain, I'm like okay, like now I want to actually go and understand this website. I want to scrape information. I want to take actions. I want to like place an order on Amazon. Then LangChain by itself is not doing that, but like if you call MultiOn as a tool in LangChain, then you can actually go and do a lot of these powerful tools. So a good way to think about this is an AI browser.
Yep.
And this AI browser can be used through any other sort of middleware that is available.
Okay. Talk to me about Memzero. I know Memzero. I know because he's the organizer of Taranjeet, the organizer for Palo Alto AI Tinkerers. So, obviously, you know, he's building memory as an API for developers for all kinds of apps. And I saw that you partnered. Tell me about how that works.
Totally. So we have been using Memzero for adding long-term memory to the agent. So the idea is like suppose you want to book a flight, and maybe you like United over Delta Airlines. Maybe you like to like go for like window seats and whenever you're traveling. And what we're trying to do with Memzero is like build this long-term memory for each user.
Yep.
So whenever a user wants to go do something, we can remember their preferences. And the next time you ask the agent, okay, like go book me a flight, then it can like suggest you like, okay, like I know you like United over Delta. Like, do you want me to choose United? Do you want me to go choose like window seats? And just because it knows more things about you, it's able to go take the right actions.
Can you show me a scenario that like you're particularly proud of that MultiOn handles that's a multi-step semi-autonomous agent browsing complicated task stuff that would be, you know, challenging and hard to do. And show me like how easy it would be for me to use that in my app. Like what would the code look like to actually invoke that scenario? So like the line, I want to see what the lines of code are
Sure,
for
sure,
me to
sure.
use it in my product.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
So to start could be like if you go to our docs, we actually have a cookbook where you can find a bunch of like very interesting use cases. So if you want to like say scrape LinkedIn, you want to do something on Airbnb. A fun one is like if you wanted to build an agent that can go scrape like news online for you,
Okay.
and like digest a bunch of like news feeds and then combine them together.
Okay.
So that could be really fun. So this is a really cool one where you can actually use the agent to order a book for you online on Amazon.
Okay.
So this is like really good for any kind of e-commerce shopping scenario.
Okay.
And how this works is like it's very simple.
So if I had like a marketing product and I wanted part of it to be like a VIP influencer gets a book for free as part of the workflow,
Totally.
that could happen using this.
Yes.
It's a practical reason.
And yeah, this could work on anything on Amazon. So it doesn't have to be books. So if you want to buy anything.
And Amazon, it's also notoriously difficult to automate.
Yes.
Okay.
And so yeah, so this is a pretty good use case for any kind of like online shopping.
Okay.
And we already have an example for doing this. If you go to our docs.multion.ai.
Okay.
So this is very simple. Like you first just need to simply install MultiOn. So if you do pip install MultiOn,
okay,
you just get the library down. Once you have it,
yep,
you import the library. So you do from multi-node-client import MultiOn. Pretty simple. The second step over here is that you need to create an API key and download that.
Yep.
So that is you can go to our platform, sign in. You're pretty much good to go.
And there's no waiting. You get it right away. I noticed that. It's great.
And then you go to the API keys. You can create a new API key. I already have one, so I will just like use this.
You don't have to book a sales call and wait for a week.
Cool. Now I have the API key. Now what I simply need to do is just add a prompt.
Yep.
So you can just like multion.browse, give it a command, add the 3-body problem book to my cart,
give
it a URL, and then you're pretty much good to go. You can also run this in local mode if you want to use our browser extension.
Because after that, the API is literally just like GPT. It's English and English, or
it's
English and a bit. And then what are the results that I get back? Ultimately?
Yeah, so you get a JSON with a bunch of things like the output of the agent and the image, a screenshot. But then you also have the actions happening live in the browser.
Okay. Can I also ask it to pipe through data through that I want? Like if I'm scraping or something? Okay.
Yeah. So we also have a structured extraction API where you can say like, okay, like here's a data model. I want you to like extract these things out, and then you can do that.
Okay. So if your use case is special for that, you've even got a better API.
Yes.
Okay. How is that better? Is it the ability to run in parallel or to like run it as a workload, or aside from just being a separate API, is there a reason to be a separate API?
Yeah. Sorry, let me. So okay, let me just finish this one first.
Sorry.
Cool. Yeah. So once you have the code, it's pretty simple. It's instantaneous.
Yeah.
So give it the command, and then you can like see it in action. So the agent over here is navigating to Amazon in the sandbox Chrome environment. It found the books. Well, that was actually very fast. And then you can go proceed to checkout.
Wow.
And then you can also give you options. You can interact with it manually if you want to, but then you can go back and check the outputs. Okay. So in this case, the agent has told me like, okay, like this books have been successfully added to my cart. Okay. And then you're good to go. And then I can take over control, give it like new actions.
Okay. Really quick for auth, like if I was literally like, I'm like building some product and I want to give away books as part of it as a reward program or something, I want to abstract Amazon completely away.
Sure.
This is literally how I'd use that. But whose auth am I using? Like whose Amazon accounts actually ordering the book? How do I control that? Do you give me management over that? Like how's it secure? What happens?
Okay. So this is actually your auth. And how do we give you control is like you can actually go to our platform.multion.ai, which is like our online platform for configuring the agent. And then you can go and create an organization if you want. You can also use a personal account.
Okay. So you've modeled these things as first class like connectors, basically.
Yes.
Okay. Can I have multiple Amazon accounts?
You can.
Oh, wow.
And then what we do is like we have this connect to services button where you can actually go and like authorize different accounts you want to the agent to go and use for your behalf. So if I say like, okay, like connect Amazon account, it will show a pop-up where like, okay, like, do you want to connect MultiOn to your Amazon account? We actually don't store your passwords. We only store your cookies. So it's very secure.
Got it.
And then you can just log in. And once you're logged in, like we basically will connect your account and then you're good to go. And so the next time, like whenever you call the MultiOn agent, it has access to your account.
Got it.
And if you're like, okay, like now I want to deactivate my Amazon account, I can simply deactivate it from the toggle and you're good to go.
Okay. If I wanted to push that authorization all the way out to my end user and have it be their account, is that doable today?
It is.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay. That's awesome. Just making sure. I know I kind of asked before, but I think that's really clever and that's really useful. Okay. So question, all right. So you've got all these things. Is that the right way to think about MultiOn? Is those websites that you have listed there on that page are going to be the ones that are most reliable at this point?
Currently, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the most used and the most valuable for you and for your customers today. But those are the ones where if I'm doing automations on any of these properties, that would be a really good thing. Okay.
Yep. And
Speaking of like, how good are you? I mean,
sure.
I know you're one of the earliest. I've been tracking you a long time, and I know in my mind you're on the cutting edge of this stuff. Even though many people dabble, and it's easy to make a great demo, like I respect that you guys have been heads down and fairly quiet for a very long time, building stuff that really works. But I'm going to ask you to prove that.
Sure.
How do I know that it really works? Are there benchmarks that you track against? Have you contributed to any benchmarks? What are the ones that are relevant, anyways?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say like the best way is to just see it live in action. So you can just download a Chrome extension and try it out.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we're very good on the major websites because we have a lot of data on those websites. So if you try us on Amazon, DoorDash, LinkedIn, Facebook, even United, Instacart, you can actually see like the agent go and like do the right things for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say we can guarantee currently above 97% accuracy on like a lot of these websites, depending on the complexity of the task. If the task is straightforward, like okay, like Joe, go and buy me this book, we can do that. But if it's like okay, like go and buy me like 100 books.
How many steps is an average task? When you say 97%, it's the end
Sure.
goal being met.
Yes. So I would say like average task, I think for us, we've seen like around 30 steps.
20 steps and 97% accuracy at the end of 20, where you have all those chances to fail and get off track?
Yes.
Wow.
It depends on the website, but like something like Amazon, like we are very, very good.
Okay. And I trust you, that figure's great, but like, how do you measure that figure? And does the industry get together and is there a benchmark?
Yes, I would say browser agents is interesting because there's a couple of academic benchmarks. They're not great in a sense, like they're not real world websites.
Right.
So there's this benchmark called Web Arena, which we've been using, where like they built a simulation of a bunch of simple scenarios for something like Reddit, for example, or maybe like a very simple like shopping website where you can test your agent. We actually surpassed those benchmarks really, really well.
Wow.
So we recently released this paper called Agent Q, where we came up with the like novel ways to do reinforcement learning training, a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
And we are like the state of art on this benchmarks currently. It's very long, like 20 pages. Goes into a lot of depth around like how can you have agents.
Yeah.
So there's like one benchmark we tested on that, which is called Web Shop, and we were able to get like better than average human performance. So we are able to like beat like an average human, which is like 50%. And our agent key method works like slightly better than that.
Yep.
We're still not close to a human expert, but I think over time we can get there.
Yeah, excellent. I know one stat that I saw was like, the 0-shot performance of Llama 3, presumably for agents, with your agent queue approach, you went from like 18% to 80% or something on that. Like you could unpeel that a little bit more.
Sure. So one thing we've found out is like a lot of the current models are not trained really well on web tasks. They just don't work really well on websites.
Interesting.
Just because like the distribution they're trained on is very different because it's like mostly language and like a lot of chat data.
Yeah.
And we found out like once we do our like specialized training methodology where we have our own special like language representations and like ways to correct the agent.
Yeah.
That helps a lot in boosting accuracies of this methods where like you can go from like nearly 20% to like 95% plus.
And you're getting the data from people using your product so far, primarily in terms of what tasks they want to do and how they navigate or how the agent navigates. Like where else do you get the data for this to actually train a model or to use reinforcement learning?
Also, we've done a couple of things where we have our own AI agents that can go to different websites. So for the agent queue paper, we did this thing where like we were running thousands of agents on like OpenTable and then collecting a lot of like success and failure scenarios and like training on that.
You're basically generating use cases and running those scenarios just to gather data.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
So that's one. We also are working with a lot of like human annotators. So we have like like we're working with like companies like Scale, bunch of other data collection companies, and like collecting a lot of like expert human data that we can use to improve the models.
What's the dynamic there? Is it you hiring them to help you do this for you, or is it them using you together to help them generate data to train models, or what's the
I would say it's more of us like using them as a data collection service where we know like this is the kind of data we want to improve on.
Got it.
And then like we're working with the right companies.
Who in industry are you most envious of in terms of their natural data they're sitting on that's web agent data? Who's in a good position there? Because that data is like, it's pretty private.
It's pretty private. Like I was like, if you think about like, there's not many companies who have access to this kind of data. The closest might be Google because they have Chrome.
Yeah.
But again, like there's like so much like personal
Is there
like
good
privacy risks.
data within YouTube of people doing screencasts
Not
or
really,
screen
no.
recordings? Not good.
No, it's not good. So I
It
was
is.
like, Chrome might have a lot of like
Yeah.
anonymized data on like what are the traces of like
Yeah.
cursors and like
Yeah.
how people are using Chrome. But there's a lot of like privacy risk on training or something like that.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. And the fundamental thing about Agent Q is basically you're introducing reinforcement learning into your process, and then using that data to fine tune
Fine tune.
continuously.
So we do a combination of things where we're doing search. So
Okay.
the agent is like searching the environment online
Yeah.
to find okay like what constitutes success, what's a failure,
Got it.
and then we're doing reinforcement learning to like train on the success and failure to improve the agent's performance over time to make it better and better.
Is this the entire process where you described previously, like generating use cases to gather data and then using reinforcement learning on that?
Yes.
So this isn't people using your product and feeding back to Q. This is your training process.
This is our training process in a sense.
Got it. Okay. That's where you had the one shot on Llama 3 being so much better.
More or less, yes.
More or less. More or less. What is the more part of that?
I would say there's like a lot of like small things like the devil is always in the details.
Got it.
So we do a lot of like micro optimizations to make sure like that these things
the
work.
Engineering.
I guess, yes.
The real world. Yeah. Okay. Hammering it out. Yeah. I got it. Besides MultiOn, what are the tools AI first tools in your life that you find yourself using a lot?
I was like I use ChatGPT a lot.
Sure.
It's just a good way to like brainstorm where like okay, like you have an idea.
Sure.
Claude, I think like it's similar.
Where do you use it better? What is it better for you for? I mean,
I
coding
think Claude has
tasks
been good for like coding tasks, like the Claude artifacts is pretty good for that.
Yep.
Cursor is something that I've been using a lot for programming.
Mhm.
I recently started using V0 more, just like for prototyping interfaces and like coming with like new cool widgets.
Yeah.
So that's something that I've been getting into more.
Oh, cool.
Like Perplexity sometimes. I'm not. I would say I'm not a very heavy user right now, but I'm like playing with it.
Okay. We talked a lot about like the useful tasks on MultiOn, but like what are the most mind-blowing or unexpected, crazy or creative tasks that you've seen people do on MultiOn, or at least attempt?
Yeah, we've seen like a lot of crazy things. I would say like a great example is we've seen people try to pirate movies. Was an interesting one.
Interesting. How would they do that?
I think they just ask you like go like download this movies for me on like some like illegal website or like torrent website.
Oh, because the agent won't give up trying to get in, basically, and do maybe things that are annoying.
And yeah, so that's been interesting. We've also been thinking about like how do we build like filters and like prevent any sort of like spammy actions.
What is that most high volume boring task that you see? Is it scraping data extraction, or is it actually these other scenarios like ordering on Amazon?
Yeah, scraping has been a big one. It's kind of like a boring task, but like everyone wants to scrape information. Like there's so many developer use cases.
Yeah, is it basically like lead scoring or lead filling out or fleshing out information for sales or marketing purposes, or is it what are the use cases within scraping that you see? You said price comparison engines.
Price comparison is a big one. Like suppose like you want to compare prices on different websites like Amazon or like eBay, Target, so on.
Yeah.
LinkedIn has been a big one. Like a lot of people like to just use it to like source candidates or like extract profiles.
Yeah. Okay.
GitHub has been an interesting one too.
Okay. In 5 years, where do you think agents will where will they be? My relationship with my computer will change.
Totally.
If I'm able to actually just delegate a lot of work, right?
Totally. So I think it's gonna happen because like I'll say like if you think about what separates like say like a C class executive from like an ordinary person, it's just like the access to like number of assistants you have, whether that's in your work life or like in your personal life. And I think like the same thing will happen like where like there's like a lot of like admin work, coordination work that you have to do in your like daily life. Like email is a great example where like you spend so much time like just coordinating with people and like group discussions and like invites and like whatever stuff. And then you can have suppose you have an agent that's managing all your meetings, and you have an agent that's managing all your like travel. You have an agent that's managing all your things to do while you're like in your daily life. Like and especially when it comes to like a lot of HR or marketing as an organization. So there's a lot of this kind of things that agents will automate. And like I think what will happen is like a computer will in a sense operate itself. So you just talk to the computer, okay, like I want to do this thing, I want to do that thing.
Yeah.
And you're kind of delegating the work to the computer itself. Where like okay, like figure this out. It's your problem.
Yeah.
And it's not my problem because like right now what's happening is you're kind of multitasking. Where like you're first thinking like, okay, like I have this problem, now I need to go and solve this problem by like actuating with my hands on the keyboard and mouse and like solving the problem for myself using the computer as a tool.
Yep.
But what will happen is like you'll think of okay, like I have this problem, you give it to the computer. I have this problem, I don't even need to know what the solution is. You just go figure it out. The computer goes and does it, and it just says like okay, I've finished this task for you, and then kind of becomes like an assistant. Then you just like give it the delegate what your problem is, and then things are happening, but you're kind of more freed up because you just don't have to think about like actually doing it yourself.
Sure. Do you think this major wave of kind of changing the way we work is achieved in the next what period of time?
I'll say like I think we'll get there in next 2 years.
Next year.
So it probably will not be 100% there, but we might be even if we can get there like for very specific applications.
Yeah, it'll have a big impact for
That'll have a
certain
big
things.
impact for this.
Okay. What are you tinkering on right now besides MultiOn? Anything that you're hacking on? I mean, new things are released all the time. How could you not possibly play with them?
And
What are
totally
those
like
things?
yeah, that's been interesting. Like I'll say coding agents has definitely like moved a lot. Like I've been playing with Replit agents. That's been really interesting to see.
Yeah.
We've also been thinking a lot about like how can we um, orchestrate all this like agents together. So how can we combine them together? Where like can something like MultiOn be a good way to like okay, like I can use MultiOn to call a coding agent, and then the coding agent can write the code, and but then I can have a image generator in the loop, or I can have like this also all these like video models from like Luma and whatever stuff.
Sure. A bit push to prod, send
Right.
the email, update the website,
Basically.
build a TikTok campaign.
Yeah, and there's going to be so many days. There's going to be explosion of agents. There'll be agents for literally everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's just like, how do you combine those to build your own workflows?
How did you first hear about AI Tinkerers?
I think I got invited
Yeah.
to the one in SF maybe like more than a year ago.
Yeah.
That was really fun.
Where can people follow your work and learn more about MultiOn?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Twitter, so you can like find me at the rate of divgarg _. That's my handle. You can also come. You can contact us on our website, or like we have a very big Discord community that you can reach out
Oh, awesome.
to. Yeah,
Cool. Great to know. Thanks so much. I look forward to digging in.
sounds good. Thanks.
Thank you.